Hey, Tom Sweeney here, and I am in my hometown of Plymouth, Michigan, and we were painting a Three Seasons room. And today I'm going to show you how to prepare the surfaces for painting paneling and brick. So the first thing you want is to get a low odor oil primer. And here's the primer that I like to use, and if you can see on the label, it blocks stains, which is very important for the paneling. It's quick drying. One of the issues that I have with these quick drying oil primers is that they spatter a lot. So I'll put gloves on, I tape off all the surfaces, I tape over my plugs, and just make sure everything's free from getting spatter on it. So what I'm going to do here, I can load up my brush and dab it right into the pad, and I'm going to brush out the grooves of the paneling. Now you're going to want to use this primer because on paneling, a lot of times you get stains that come through. They quite often call them tannins. This oil primer will seal that in. Now if you use a latex primer, it's quite likely that those stains will bleed through. So you're back to square one again. So spend the time, brush the grooves, get both sides of the groove. This. I'm just going to do a little section for you here. You don't have to be pretty along the trim. I'm going to be painting the trim after the fact. This is just a primer. I'm gonna end up caulking these edges, letting the caulk dry before I do the actual top coat paint. You're going to want to do 2 coats of top coat. Always do 2 top coats. So I'm just going to roll this on. Distribute it evenly, fill all the little grooves. It's got a little bit of an odor, so you might want to have your windows open, have adequate ventilation. And now this surface, when it dries, it's going to have a great surface for paint to bond to. So in this room, we're also going to be painting brick. So I'm going to come over, I'm going to show you. Okay, if you can see, this brick has already gotten a coat of the masonry primer. You might say, what kind of color is that? Well, hey, this was left over from another job. Just has a tint to it. It's going to do the same job, and it's going to save me from buying extra primer when I already have it. So, Loxon primer. I like this from Sherwin-Williams. This is a masonry primer. Some people will say, hey, let's spray it on. I don't think spraying is the way to go when you put the masonry primer on, because this is a very porous surface. Just spraying it doesn't fill all the little grooves. So I know this is tedious, but you're gonna have to roll it on and brush in all these grooves. So I get myself a thick nappy roller. You know I like using the 14-inch rollers, and you can just get, it's not gonna work into all the grooves, but you do a small 2-foot section, get yourself probably the junkiest brush you got, because you're gonna rip up these bristles, and you just work it in. You're gonna be going back to the paint and dabbing it, but your goal is to fill in all the pores. So you're going around every brick, every edge of that brick, and the mortar. You don't want to do too big of a section at once, because you don't want the stuff drying up too quick. You want to be able to move this around. After I get this on, I'm going to give it a day to dry. I will spray this for the final coats of paint. I'll spray on 2 coats. I myself have a handheld sprayer, but you got to mask everything off in the room when you do that. Because when you're spraying, you get overspray particles will float everywhere. So if you see, I've got all of this carpeting taped off. I will tape off this ledge and these doors when I go to spray. If you don't have a sprayer, you can go to your home center and rent one. And this project here, which typically you might have to pay, I'd say, a couple grand, you can do it for the cost of materials and sprayer rental, maybe $300-400. And I know you can do it, and good luck. look on all of your projects.